So you found the skeleton. How would you tell it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dapper Reacts. I am here with a different lineup than slightly different lineup than usual. We still have a Canadian, don't worry. But this time it's Chesh. So our Canadian is a goblin this time. And I am, of course, here with Vishanti, who is the most regular guest on Dapper Well, you're not a guest. You're a co-host on Dapper Reacts. Yeah. I could make the argument that for this show, at least, Chesh is a guest, where she's a co-host on Tisdall Tuesday, but you're definitely a co-host.
You told me I was the co-host many moons ago.
Yeah.
Does being a co-host mean that I have 50% control of the channel?
No.
No.
Damn.
Because you're not a co-host of the show.
Give me money.
I mean, maybe. Everybody, give me money so I can give some of it to Chesh eventually.
Eventually, probably, he promises.
I mean, look, the reason I don't currently have you on as like someone who produces some of my shows is because I don't feel like I make enough that I would be willing to give you enough to make it worth your time.
Which results in a net zero for me.
Yeah, but also I would feel guilty if I was like, here, Chesh, here's like, $10 for like 2 hours of work.
I'm just teasing anyway. But regardless, hi, I'm Chesh. I am Wish Vishanti. So we've got Wish Vishanti, or Wishanti as it were, and regular Vishanti.
I mean, I thought I brought you in as Wish Kip, but that's okay too.
Yeah, but yeah, so I'm Wishanti LARPing as Kip. Look, I even got a hat.
Oh, that's right, you do.
See?
Nice. But how much do you hate the Bible?
I fucking love the Bible.
Oh, there's our one.
I did it.
No, we wasted it this early on. All right, so
you're welcome.
Vishanti number one. Hey, Vishanti, how you doing?
I mean, you're gonna have to be way more specific than that.
Like, broadly speaking, is it a good day or a bad day so far?
Okay.
All right.
Have you consulted your tarot cards?
That's a good question.
I don't need tarot cards to tell me if it's a good day or a bad day.
They might tell you if it's going to be a good day or a bad day.
Experience the day.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I suppose you could use your senses.
I tried,
and
guys.
brain.
I'm sorry.
Brains.
But yeah, I'm like, tarot cards aren't going to tell me if it's going to be a good or a bad day.
Oh, I like Vishanti Prime. That's good.
Ooh, that is good.
Alpha? Vishanti Alpha? Vishanti Prime?
All right. So, for our first super chat coming in, Tree Clam Tat for $5 says, "Yay, we got a better Canadian than Kip." Ooh, ouch, Kip. At least the goblin believes that maple volcanoes exist. Give the proceeds to the goblin with a pride flag, a trans flag, and a Godzilla. We'll take a drink for that Godzilla. Thank you very much. All right. Oh my goodness, what is happening? Oh, okay. We get some let's see. Fear Amen is English monger. Is a member at the Tetrapod level and has been a member for 41 months and says AIG Shen Vat Small. Which, okay. I'm pretty sure I know what that means. I'm going to take a drink, but I'm meeting you way more than halfway because I have no idea what language that is. Does anyone else? Vishanti, does that look like familiar to you?
I'm doing photo processing while we listen.
While we banter?
Like I would know.
Well, I'll be honest. There is a reason I said Vishanti.
Specified? Yeah, no, listen, I get it. Sometimes I surprise you. Sometimes I know a thing, and you don't expect me to know that thing.
That's true for everyone, though. Like, there's always times where I'm like, oh, someone...
Yeah, you don't have to rub it in that I'm not special, okay?
I mean, there's lots of things I would expect you to know that I wouldn't know. Like, you know way more Pokemon than I do.
Maybe. It's been a long time.
I don't even know all the Gen 2 Pokemon. And I'm only vaguely aware of some of the other starters outside of Gen 1 and 2.
I wonder if I could still rattle them all off. It's been a long time.
Maybe.
Anyway.
Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, "I'm Quactus of Borg. Your romantic distinctiveness will be added to our own. Resistance is futile." Okay. You might be... Good luck with adding my romantic distinctiveness. Naramda puts for $5 says, somewhat off topic, some apologists can't tell the difference between extra biblical sources and extra biblical sources. Yeah, get it. Where the dash is. That is important.
Oh.
Yeah. That is hard to read
Oh.
in a way that makes sense. I'm always fascinated by things that only really make sense in writing.
I really wish that English had like a some kind of sound for some of our like quotation mark. I mean, quotation marks are a little bit easier to do with inflection, but things like apostrophes and commas and would
Why
be
do you
nice to
need
have an
commas for
audio.
that?
What?
That's like commas. People incorrectly use them as like a pause.
Yeah,
So
sometimes.
often.
I mean, that is
So
their
we're
original
like
purpose.
if you're doing so like the difference
Where they're
between
typing, what they're thinking or saying, they will often add commas where they do not belong.
I'll give you an example. I played catch with Grandpa.
No. I'm talking about long, complex sentences where you would be able to communicate them verbally with very little.
Well,
Are we having a grammar
it's
fight?
clearly,
and then they
we're
type
having
them out.
Yeah.
But people start adding commas because that's where they would take a pause while they're talking, and the commas don't go there grammatically.
Metageeky
Sure.
Platypus Librarian
I
for
don't
$5
disagree.
says, Thunk is here. Thunk is hungry. Thunk has birthday gift from mom downstairs. Her cookies. Thunk happy. Thunk hate AIG rancid sack of jellied eels, and we will take a drink for the rancid sack of
Ooh.
jellied eels.
Rancid sack of jelly eels is good. I like
It sounds
that.
like something someone from Norway would eat, if I'm being honest.
You're fair.
I mean, that's basically what lutefisk is. It's not eels,
Yeah,
but like, yeah.
Yeah.
Food preservation techniques, real weird stuff. All right.
The difference between jellied fish and jellyfish.
I've eaten jellyfish, but I don't think I've ever eaten jellied fish. All right, so we do actually have a video for y'all today, and it is a shorter one. I don't know that there's going to be a second episode of this, but this episode is about, or this video that we're going to take a look at is about the forbidden Ethiopian Bible. If you have this Bible, allegedly, you're going to be in big trouble because it's forbidden.
Weird, because I mean, I've read some of the Ethiopian texts, but okay.
You better not let anyone know, or you're going to be in big trouble, Vishanti. They're going to put you in Bible jail.
If you know, you know.
Maybe the Ethiopians will come and get you. They'll send those lions that they have at the zoo.
A very, very off-color joke about distant relatives of mine that got in trouble with the Inquisition.
Yikes. Actually, you know what's interesting? There is a subspecies of lion that exists only in zoos in Ethiopia. They're extinct in the wild.
You're not going to clarify any more information than that? You're just going to say that it's a thing?
Well, I mean, I was going to describe that they don't exist anywhere else, that they are extinct in the wild and have been for centuries, and their most distinctive trait is that the males have very, very sparse manes.
Down in Tasmania, down in Tasmania.
No, you're thinking of a different part of the world. Free Clam Tan for $5 says, we all know what Dapper's romantic distinctiveness is. A very loving and supportive relationship with Chesh that some people are jealous of. Yes, and also apparently my last name is Hitler.
You don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, according to the song, at least, Chesh, you and I are in a very kind and caring relationship that's very supportive. And also, my last name happens to be Hitler. Because apparently...
Except that you keep making me coffee and I drink tea.
Well, maybe the person who wrote the song, which is to say that robot, got confused.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that was just earlier on in our relationship, and when I didn't know that you had a strong tea preference.
Yeah. He's teachable, guys.
Yeah. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, do the Ethiopians have access to the Museum Assassins Service? Presumably, yes. That's who you're going to be in trouble with, is the Ethiopian Museum Assassins. So be careful. All right. So we're going to hit play. This is literally how the thing starts. It starts with this image from a codex from Ethiopia. You can tell it's from Ethiopia because that those symbols there are a abugida, which is like an alphabet, except each letter contains some little radical that indicates a vowel that follows it. And that is the one that is used to write Ge'ez and Amharic, and I think a few other Ethiopian languages, but I'm not positive on those. In case you're wondering, Amharic is the biggest language in Ethiopia, and Ge'ez is sort of like the Latin of the Ethiopian area. Also, everything that's going to go on here is also going to apply to the Eritrean church, because the Ethiopian and the Eritrean churches only recently became separate things. I believe as a result of Pope Shenouda granting autocephaly to the Eritrean Tewahedo Orthodox Church. So, look, we got to inside baseball on Oriental Orthodoxy, and we're not even 10 minutes into the show. Great. But thank you very much to Tree Clam Tat for sending 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships. While I take 5 drinks, I'm going to have Chesh tell you why goblins are better than kobolds.
So there's a couple of different perspectives that goblins are better than kobolds. So part of it depends on what you want to do. Goblins are literally everywhere. You can put them anywhere in any setting. You can put them in the snow. You can put the desert. Kobolds, you can't quite get away with that the same way. Goblins are just ubiquitous, and you can have as many of them as you want. Really, really underrated is the minion system, and there's nothing funnier than hit point goblins that are easy to hit, but also hit like a truck. As opposed to kobolds, which are much more crafty and tend to do a lot with traps, which ends up being a lot more work as a DM.
Also, I was going to, that's what I was going to say. 4th edition, the best thing 4th edition ever did was the minions.
Minions.
Yep, great.
The minions are so great. I love them.
If there's very few things about 4th edition that I want D&D to bring back, minions are like the only one. Also,
I'm very proud of myself for making people mad in the first session.
So autocephaly is something that is now being asked about in the chat, and so I figured since it relates to this, we'll talk about it a little bit. So autocephaly is a thing in certain Christian groups. The ones I know that for certain do this are the Eastern Orthodox and the Oriental Orthodox. And what autocephaly means is that church is a church that does not consult with any other groups in order to pick its patriarch or metropolitan or whoever it is that is first among equals in that church. So, for instance, the Church of Greece is autocephalous. It doesn't ask, like, the Patriarch of Constantinople who's going to be the next patriarch. The Russian Orthodox Church is autocephalous. They don't ask anyone else who's going to be the next patriarch of Moscow. In the Oriental Orthodox Church, the Coptic Church is autocephalous. So no one's asking anyone else outside of that church who's going to be the next Pope of Alexandria. The same thing is true for the Eritrean Orthodox Church. I believe the Armenian Apostolic Church, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. So yeah, and basically, who gets to decide who gets to be autocephalous itself is actually part of an ongoing schism in the Eastern Orthodox Church between the patriarchs of Constantinople and Moscow, because the patriarch of Constantinople is the only person who's ever granted any churches autocephaly, and so has maintained that he's the one who gets to do that. Whereas the patriarch of Moscow points out that the only times it's ever happened has been in areas where the patriarch of Constantinople already had authority, and then he divested himself of it, and that this recent grant of autocephaly to a Ukrainian Orthodox Church was out of Moscow's territory, and that's not allowed. The real actual reason for this schism is mostly the war, in that the Patriarch of Moscow was like, oh yeah, rah, let's go defeat Ukraine, and basically the entire rest of the Orthodox Church is like, no. So that's the real reason, but like the excuse that they're all using is like a debate over autocephaly. Gringovaldi Gurnison, who's been a member for 24 months and is at the Tetrapod level, says goblins have less ego. They don't claim to be dragons. That's true. They don't claim to be dragons.
Okay, yes, true.
But
good point. However, also, they technically are dragonkin.
That's true.
As opposed to the dragonborn, who are not, in fact, dragonkin. So, no, they aren't dragons. Yes, they have an ego. However, they are...
Even though dragonborn have
correct.
breath weapons, whereas kobolds typically don't.
Kobolds do not.
So look, biology in D&D makes only slightly more sense than biology in Star Trek Voyager.
On the other hand, though, if you really want to buff up your kobolds, give them all breath weapons.
I mean, yeah. Or just make them all Urds.
You want to crank that CR.
That was one thing I always liked about 3 and 3.5. I was like, oh, it's just a goblin. Well, it's a fiendish half-dragon vampire goblin. But yeah, sure, it's just a goblin.
It's just a goblin. Don't worry about it. I love the it's just a goblin. Don't worry about it.
All right, I'm going to hit play on this. We're going to see
what's up. That got alone? No, it's not.
Have you ever seen this before in your life? chances are your answer is no.
Actually, the answer is well, not necessarily this page, but have I ever seen an Ethiopian religious codex? Yes. I have.
I've seen a codex before.
Yeah.
Maybe not that one.
The thing is,
the Codex of Ultimate Wisdom.
If you're like into weird history stuff, especially into like obscure niche Christian history stuff, which is a thing I'm into, yes, you've seen this.
I feel like this is just implying this is not for like this is a video for like their own audience, right? This isn't really a video to convince other people. So they just kind of assume often, and I see this all the time, is that videos like this always assume that their audience doesn't know what they're talking about and won't bother to look it up.
Yeah, that's probably true.
It looks really weird, like something you see in a treasure hunt movie.
No, it just looks like an illuminated manuscript.
A treasure hunt movie? Okay.
I feel like most treasure hunts, if they ended with an illuminated codex, would be a disappointment for the hunters. But like, I don't know, maybe not.
I mean, the best I could possibly think of that might have something like this that would be maybe considered a treasure hunt movie would be something like Indiana Jones.
Maybe.
And that's if you consider treasure hunt, like Indiana Jones, a treasure hunt movie, and for some reason you're putting a pirate ship treasure map on the screen, which kinda is not the same thing at all.
About the fact that the pages are old and yellowed.
This probably is it. Also, the fact that it's an unfamiliar script is probably part of it. Like, look, it's a funny script that you've never seen. What does it mean?
It's papyrus.
It is definitely not papyrus.
No. Papyrus wishes it could be as cool as that Abugida. Let's see. Stephen G. Clinard, who's been a member at the eminent level for 25 months, says, Voyager's Native American advisor doubled as biology expert. Look, I kind of hate that they made up an entire Native American ethnicity for Chakotay when there are just so many real ones that he just could have been from. And then they also had to go on and be like, well, this actual made-up tribe, they got all their cool stuff from the aliens. I'm like, oh, just go away, Voyager, on that one.
Just let them be cool. Leave them
aliens
alone.
Racism in space.
Right. With a made-up culture. Like, none of that is necessary. But okay. And also, they can't really figure out where that culture is from because sometimes they're in, like, the jungles of South America, and sometimes they're, like, in the American Southwest with, like, rock art and, like, vision quests. And it's like, you guys realize that these aren't the same thing, like, at all. Like, at all. Like, these are... Like, nope. It's just Native American as one big brush. Like, okay, cool, thanks.
I'm still just mad that these guys are basically making an argument of I spilt tea on my journal.
Yes. Sapphire Zombie Goliath Life for $5 says, if you're not familiar with the Ethiopian Bible, that's proof of a global conspiracy and not a sign of your ignorance about other Christian traditions. True. Lieutenant Math the Navigator for $5 says, it's actually white printer paper. It's just filmed on a Mexico filter.
Yes.
Right. You know what? I have a soft spot in my heart for the movie Tremors 2 for two big reasons.
Oh, because it's Tremors.
Well, I mean, okay, beyond just the fact that, you know, it's a very reasonably...
I love Tremors.
Like, it's a good sequel to the first Tremors movie. Also,
it is good.
It is a movie set... It is an American movie set in Mexico that is neither set in the desert nor has the Mexico filter.
Yeah, you wouldn't even know it was it was in Mexico, like it took place in Mexico.
Yeah, I appreciate that there's a movie other than The Ruins who's like, hey guys, did you know that Mexico has more than one biome? It isn't just a desert.
I love Tremors, the whole series, so much.
My goodness, that thing went so crazy towards the later movies.
Oh, man! Yes!
Oh. All right, I'm going to play, because this is technically not about Tremors. Although, maybe we should watch Tremors.
Only that this is real. The Ethiopian Bible is one of the most mysterious and controversial books that ever existed.
To whom?
Yeah, I have never encountered either a mystery or a controversy about the Ethiopian Bible. The closest...
First of all, what's mysterious about it? Because people still read and speak that language.
Yep.
There is another issue here. Are the Republicans currently trying to drag it out of libraries and burn it?
No, not yet.
It's
not that I know of.
Then it's not that controversial.
So basically, I think what's all that, as far as I can tell, that this is just exoticizing it because it's not familiar to most Western audiences, and so that's it. That's like literally it.
Well, they have secrets that we might need in our treasure hunt for the very real items described within.
Even the country itself is shrouded in mysteries that can't be explained.
What?
I would love to know which those
Ethiopia
are.
is shrouded in mysteries?
But that's a story for another day.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it, guys. That's for another day. We'll get to the mysteries of Ethiopia some other time.
The shroud is shrouding.
Well, I mean, the Ethiopian church does claim to have the Ark of the Covenant just in one of their churches. And no, you can't see it.
All right, fair.
Ethiopia is home to
I've
one
seen
of
what
the
happens if you do.
It was like, it's just a replica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't worry about it.
Oh man, I heard that your face melts off if you look at it.
oldest civilizations in the world, and is the
So
I love that they're using the modern nation state border. That's pretty great.
Yeah. I mean, so this Bible that we're talking about here is also just the Bible in the Eritrean church, but like whatever. As far as the oldest civilizations, I mean, it's definitely old, but like Egypt is older, Sumeria is older, the Indus River Valley civilization is older. Like there are
China.
Yeah, China is older. So like it's up there. So, like, I guess it depends on how wide a net you're casting in terms of, like, the oldest civilizations. But also remember, civilization is kind of an arbitrary thing where we say, like, what's a civilization? Well, it's a society that's centered around cities. Well, okay, but what's so special about cities? Well, it's that the people who build cities are the people who define what civilization is. So they got to pick. That's what's going on there. It's not like it's some kind of special cool thing. It's just, yeah. There are plenty of sophisticated societies that are just as old, if not older, that just didn't build cities.
only country in Africa that was not colonized, and because of that...
Well, I mean, Eritrea is that too, it just wasn't a separate country at the time. But you know what, that's correct. Close enough.
I gotta do the thing.
We'll take a drink.
They didn't get Ethiopia.
That's true, they didn't. Although I'm not sure that anyone was able to hear that.
I mean, it's barely audible in the original, so...
trace their lineage all the way back to Ham, one of the sons of Noah. This has even been
I'm gonna need some verifying evidence there.
Yeah, but Vishanti, it says on screen it has been collaborated.
Well, look, if you use like the passive, is it subjunctive voice or something, whatever, that makes
perfect.
it true.
But also it's the wrong word
Perfect.
because he means corroborated, but he wrote on the screen collaborated.
It has been said.
Some people work together with me, and together we said.
Collaborated with the Jews.
Oh.
What?
Yeah, so what's actually happening is that there is a national epic in Ethiopia that claims descent from the Queen of Sheba for the royal family of Ethiopia.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I know about that.
And I'm pretty sure that what he means by corroboration from the Jews is just that Ethiopia also has a long textual tradition, which includes many books that are scriptures in the Jewish canon that have been translated into
like, hey,
into Ge'ez.
We knew that kingdom existed.
Yeah.
Therefore, everything it says about itself or that other people say about it must be true.
But part of the problem is that it looks like this national epic is actually a post-Christian thing that was written and not some kind of long-standing tradition that goes back like 3,000 years. So it's basically just like Christian fan fiction to insert the people in the country where it's being written into biblical history in order to make those parts of the Bible more meaningful to the people in Ethiopia, which, like, okay, cool, but like that's not real though, right?
Yeah, something Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Yeah.
I'm doing that.
Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says it's been collaborated by the copyright and apparently the Jews.
Oh.
Yes, all of them.
Oh.
Every single Jew put
there
their stamp of approval. Yep.
They already had space internet, so they were all able to individually vote on their cell phones that they had thousands of years ago.
Famously, this is the first thing that all Jews have ever agreed on, is that the Ethiopians are definitely part of the story of the Old Testament.
It's how we got Skype.
Is that how it worked?
Yeah, they already had it. They were working on it. That's how they got all the Jews together all at once in one gigantic conference call to have.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay.
And then the Jews who are famously loath to disagree with each other all agreed.
Mm-hmm. Admittedly, one thing I do not understand about the conspiracy that like the Jews run everything and are basically super magical and way scientifically advanced and are incredibly good at working together.
Well, it's because they time travel from the distant future.
No. It's not that I don't understand that Jewish people
From
are
Mars.
like this. I don't understand why we view this as a bad thing or
Yeah,
a
you would think
negative
that would be like a
thing.
good thing, right? Like, oh, hey, we have super advanced like people with like cool, crazy magical technology powers. Let's ask them what to do.
And then
No, because it's someone else. It's not their group. That's why that's bad, remember?
Yeah, I forgot about
well,
the
then
xenophobia.
do better. This sounds like a skill issue. This is a skill issue. Either get good or get good at convincing these other people to work with you. But no wonder they're not sharing it with the rest of us. Look at the way you're
It's just
behaving.
like all the pseudoscientists that are, saying BS about all these ancient indigenous people and the big monuments they built that were like, no, that's actually us. It was our ancestors, really.
Oh, yeah.
But this video is not about the country itself, but about what the country possesses. Ethiopia has some of the oldest Bible scrolls that ever existed.
I mean, it's almost entirely codices. So no, it's codices
No, they're
generally.
not scrolls, but
The plural for codex is codices?
Yeah. What did you think it was?
Huh. I didn't know what it was at all. I
Oh,
didn't think of
Latin.
anything about it.
Oh. Latin. Learn it.
I think I probably would have just assumed it was just codex.
No, that's
it's
too
same
easy.
thing with index and indices.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, the plural of indexes is
Indices?
indices. Yeah.
Whoa.
Hey, you're learning a lot of stuff today.
Jesh's
things.
brain is exploding with knowledge.
My nose is gonna start bleeding.
Psychic
Psychic
nosebleeds.
nosebleed.
Even older than the famous KJV Bible.
Oh my god, guys. they've got Bibles that are older than 400 years. Just
Wow.
take a drink for
The
older than the
famous
KJV.
Bible,
Oh my
Which we
god.
thought was the oldest one.
I was gonna save drinking for rum and coke, and I might be regretting that decision.
Yeah.
Screw you, John Wycliffe. Get wrecked.
Tree Clam Tat for $5 says, remember when the Japanese got copies of the Chronicles of the Elders of the Zion from the Germans and were like, damn, we need some Jews to fix shit.
Chronicles of the Elders? Did you mean protocols?
Yeah, he means
Of
protocols.
the Elders of Zion,
Yeah.
which was written in Russia. But yeah, maybe the Nazis had it, I guess.
Oh, they did. They believed it. Because why wouldn't
I mean,
they?
I know they believed it. They believed a lot of BS.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. So it's a Russian conspiracy theory tract literally plagiarized from French
pictures.
newspaper articles that weren't about the Jews in the first place. And then other people imported it and were like, yeah, totally. This Russian like racist conspiracy theory nonsense, totally it. That's definitely the real thing. And then Kent Hovind will in the same breath tell you that he's not anti-Semitic and you can definitely buy the Protocols of the Elders of Zion on his web store.
Yeah, I mean, like, hey, he's not anti-Semitic. There's just a cabal of Jews that
Yeah.
are running the world. But it's not all.
It's not
of them.
anti-Semitic
Yeah, I'm
if
sure
he's
some-
right.
I'm
Some
sure
of
some of them are good ones, right? Yeah. I'm sure if
Yeah.
you're talking to him and you say I'm Jewish, he'd say, "Well, you're probably one of the good ones then." Because
Oh yeah.
Which
you're one
makes
of the
you
good
not
ones.
racist.
yeah, if you have to say if you have to say you're one of the good ones, chances are you're a bigot. Just
Yep.
putting that out there.
I'm looking at the gin on the other side of the room.
My brain
And I was
initially
just-
heard that as jinn, as in the Arabic word jinn.
Like the
And
spirits.
like the magic
A
lamp.
second later, I went, no, she's talking about drinking.
Yeah. I mean, it would be fun if you had a gin just over there.
Just hanging out.
Yeah.
Just sitting in the other chair.
Which, by the way, there is a speaking of conspiracy theories and bigotry. If you hear someone saying, "Hey, according to Islam, demons are Muslim," first of all, I want you to slap that person. Don't actually slap them. That's probably illegal. They deserve to be slapped, but you shouldn't do it. But where that actually comes from is the fact that in Islamic theology, jinn are creatures that can be Muslim or not, and some Orientalists equated jinn with demons, but they're not. They're just a different group of mortal creatures that have moral agency like humans do. And sure, they're usually invisible and they can do weird magical stuff like shapeshift, but they're not demons. Sometimes they're mischievous. But yeah, that's a thing I've heard some people say. Primarily anti-Islam, Islamophobic, especially Christians will say
I
that.
want to check my monster manual.
Anti-Islam
see what they're classified as.
Christians?
I'm pretty sure that they are elementals, aren't they?
I think they're elementals. Yeah, I think they're in the other elemental area.
Claude Simeon for $5 says, Codex of Ultimate Wisdom. Someday I'll actually play Ultimate 7 through 9 and 1 through 2 for that matter. All right, I'm going to hit play.
Yeah, they are specifically elementals, listed as elementals.
Well, there we go.
Elementals. Right there, specifically. Cool. Ta-da. Even D&D got it right.
Well, I mean, kind of. In actual,
Well, they didn't make them fiends.
In actual, well, yeah, in actual medieval folklore, or not medieval, but Islamic folklore or Middle Eastern folklore. That's what I meant to say. They're pretty much all fire based, and not water or earth or air based. But whatever.
Right, but they're specifically like the Jinn one, which is fire based, and then there's other ones that are
Oh yeah, because they turned genie into a group which contains Jinn, even though genie is just an English transliteration of Jinn. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
But you know what?
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
D&D is not actually supposed to be a one-for-one reproduction of actual real-world folklore, so like, fine, whatever.
Correct.
Other than the 66 books that make up the King James Bible.
Okay,
Wow.
well, let's take another drink, because the King James Bible was published with the Apocrypha and had more than 66 books. So, okay. Also, 88 books here under the Ethiopian Bible. Last I checked, I believe it was actually 81, but like, whatever. Maybe he's talking about the wider canon, which is not usually what's called the Ethiopian Bible, but whatever. Or maybe, no, it's the broader canon, I think it is.
The Ethiopic Bible has 88 books and includes...
sorry.
I'm glad somebody else pointed out the Codex of Ultimate Wisdom. I'm glad I'm not the only one that pulled from Ultima.
Includes some works that other churches just don't have. The book has scrolls...
They just don't have them. Don't worry about it.
It's not that those churches don't have them. It's that they're not considered to be part of the Bible. There's a difference, right? Like, okay, Protestants don't consider 1st and 2nd Maccabees to be part of the Bible. But if you went to a Protestant and you were like, hey man, could you get me a copy of 1st and 2nd Maccabees? That it's not like it would be impossible for them. They could find a copy of a Bible that has them, or they could get something online. Like, they don't, it's not that they don't have them. They don't consider them part of the Bible. Now, there are some groups of Christians that you will find who will say, well, all those books that other people have in the Bible that isn't in what we consider the Bible, I'm not going to read those. Okay, great, cool, but like, you could. They're there.
It's not forbidden.
And also, historically at least, being in the Bible or not has not been the sole criterion for whether or not it makes its way into like the beliefs of that. Like, the Catholic and Orthodox churches contain, like, in the things that they talk about in terms of like the life of the Virgin Mary, things from extra biblical sources that are have just become standard parts of those religions. But those aren't, like, those extra biblical sources aren't now part of those Bibles. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, you'll find in both Orthodox and Catholic churches veneration of the saints Joachim or Joachim or whatever, and Anna, the parents of Mary, who don't appear anywhere at all in the Bible. And yet they're reasonably popular saints. So it's also not the case that, like, historically most Christians have just been like, well, either it's in the Bible or it's just fake.
It's not Scottish, it's crap.
Yeah.
It's not the Bible, it's crap.
Actually, I did have someone tell me once that they didn't believe in the possibility of a multiverse because it wasn't in the Bible. And my response was, well, neither are penguins, so I feel like that's not a good reason.
Why are people like this?
I don't know. To be fair...
I don't, like, why?
To be fair, this happened when I was a kid, and this person was even younger than me. So, like, this wasn't...
Oh, they were a literal child.
Right. This wasn't an adult who was saying this to me. And I wasn't an adult asking either. So, you know.
Okay, that's a little bit more reasonable.
Yeah.
I just assumed it was an adult.
No, this is a story from long, long ago.
Okay.
Testament, the New Testament, and scrolls that had never been seen before. And what makes this so...
I love that we're getting Hebrew scrolls here, because that's Hebrew.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it is.
Okay.
So interesting.
Aramaic, but...
Well, okay, it's the Hebrew... It's what...
But anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's what we think of as the Hebrew alphabet.
Is that they had these scrolls long before Christianity first came to their society.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, though. We don't actually have evidence of that. That's the thing. That's what's in the Kebra Nagast, which is the national epic of Ethiopia. But, like, we don't have any archaeological or textual evidence that that's true, right? So, like, were there Jewish people in Ethiopia with scrolls before Christianity? Almost certainly, yes. You know how I know?
Probably, yeah.
Because there have been many diasporas of Jews. They got almost everywhere. They got to China.
China.
So, like,
Sorry, Tree
technically-
Clam caught me by saying penguins didn't exist until 1948.
Oh, hey, something that came up in my
That came
comments.
as a shock to Captain Cook. But yeah, it's fine.
Something that came up in my comments was that so in 1948 is also when the UN made a resolution defining what genocide is. And hey, anti-theists out there, I want to let you know, if you think that raising a child within a religion is child abuse, that opinion right there is an opinion that is pro-genocide according to the 1948 definition of genocide,
And
which
they're
is
like,
the
"No, I'm
thing
not
that
killing
defined what it
anybody."
was. Yeah. Turns
Here's the
out
thing, cultural genocide is a form of genocide.
specifically called out in that definition is removing children from members of those groups. And religious groups are one of the groups that you can do a genocide against, and also ethnicities and racial groups.
Well,
So,
if
yeah.
you needed
Also, because
reframing,
Western brains are so cooked by several centuries of Eurocentric, mostly Protestant, Christian-centric scholarship.
Well-
Anything that sufficiently resembles that flavor of Protestant Christianity is what their brain thinks of as a religion, and then that's just an opinion chip that you can unplug and throw away. So of course they don't think it's a big deal.
I would like to point out that if you needed like a recontextualization for it to help your brain wrap around something like that, you can just take what Christians at the time, for some religious reasons and some, overarching geopolitical reasons, were doing to Native Americans in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah. It turns
in
out
North America.
that things like the Trail of Tears, that's genocide. But residential schools
Or taking
also a
the
genocide.
schools, exactly.
Also
the
a
schools.
genocide. Yeah.
Yep.
You won't let them cut their hair, wear their clothes, speak their language, sing their songs.
And this is like
genocide.
and this is something that we're dealing with reparations for currently, and is recently going through the court systems in North America. So this isn't like something that I'm like, oh, let me talk about this thing that happened ages ago. No, it's not even going on right now.
Also, this didn't come up in the comments, but it's come up before. It doesn't stop being a genocide because the groups committing it failed to get everyone.
Correct.
Yeah,
the genocide is not
pisses me
defined by
off.
how successful it was.
Yeah. That the people
It
doing
says
it
in whole or in
right
part.
or in part.
For
Yeah.
a reason.
Mm-hmm. So hey, this is not me saying all anti-theists are doing this. However, it is a thing I see some anti-theists do, which is to say promote
It's common enough.
pro-genocide ideas because you think all religion is something that should be illegal to teach kids.
if you wanna make
is
that
just
argument,
genocide.
If you want to make that argument and actually try to debate that, one, you're gonna lose. But two, I'll give you a platform to try.
Yeah, go to
I would like
debate
to
hub.
see this. I would actually like to see this specific argument debunked from a debate standpoint, because I've seen it come up too often without proper pushback. It
I
seems
don't
too,
like it, therefore bad.
I mean, I was going to
That's
say,
all they
Yeah.
have.
I debated, but I actually
Yeah.
think that Vishanti would be better for that debate.
If she's down, I'll host it, and you'll get a fair
I'm not
shake.
down because I don't waste my time on
That's fair.
pointless opinions when people who largely spread it just need to go to effing therapy.
I don't think that one is pointless personally, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Goop23 for $2 says, do the scrolls look like a guy with his arms up? Yes, obviously, because that's how scrolls look, apparently. My goodness. Yeah, no, you just look like a scroll now. There you go. Congratulations.
You can't even tell the difference.
Yeah.
What's on me?
Oh my goodness, did Chesh just become a scroll? A Torah
Whoa!
scroll?
I should go get like a green screen shirt that's like long enough, and then just
Yes. Claude Simeon for $5 says, a fun cotton candy K-drama referenced Jinn, who was Lucifer/Satan. Controversy about Muslim disrespect, not familiar enough with the mythos to know. So the thing is that the Quran, and therefore Islamic theology, is a little bit kind of inconsistent on this. There are definitely places where the Quran says that Iblis, which is the Islamic equivalent of Satan, or Lucifer was a jinn. But then there are also things that make it seem like he was an angel. And generally speaking, I believe that Islamic theology has landed on Iblis being one of the first of the jinn to be created. And the reason for this is that, generally speaking, in Islamic theology, angels aren't conceived of as having free will that could rebel against Allah. It seems sort of disrespectful, but it's not really meant that way. But they're sort of like robots that just do what God tells them. Whereas the jinn have free will.
Oh, sorry.
And so that means that that's less consistent with the angel identification. And so a lot of the verses that seem to indicate that Iblis was an angel are sort of recontextualized.
Societally and culturally, a lot of the reason you will see Christian and Muslim references in Asian TV shows and dramas and things like that is because it is supposed to be like mystical and foreign. So their population doesn't necessarily have as much information. So it makes it seem more magical. So if you want an example, one of the ones that I was watching a sea drama. And one of the ones I was watching, they're not supposed to be in China, so they used foreign currency. It was just Canadian $100 bills to make the money look like it wasn't from China, right? So it's like, it's not intended usually to be disrespectful. Sometimes it's a little bit lazy writing because they don't want to do a bunch of extra world building.
As someone who does a lot of community organizing, impact over intent, baby.
There is that. Although,
that's
my guess
totally
is
valid as well.
Not too many Christians are being negatively impacted by the Japanese getting Christian imagery wrong in anime.
Well, yeah, there's also that.
Tree Clam Tat for $5 says, a lot of people in this channel, if they were native, would have ended up in residential schools or in the U.S. foster system that ended in the 90s. Yeah. Yeah. Let's just say that genocide against Native Americans or First Nations in the U.S. and Canada is much more recent than you would wish it were. Much
more recent, and it was
recent.
Incredibly thorough. So that's like the percentage, like the odds, quote unquote, of that you'd get snatched up are incredibly high.
Yeah, a lot of the people in this audience would be old enough to have been a target of genocide if they had been native. Mm-hmm.
In the 4th century. In other words, Christianity wasn't a religion given to them like most nations. Christianity was already in Ethiopia.
What does that mean? It had to spread out of Judea because that's where it started, right? Now, I will say, Ethiopia is among the first countries to make to become officially a Christian country, or even to become in large part Christian in terms of like the population as a percentage. So, like, if you're picking like which countries became Christian first, Ethiopia is going to be high up there, but it's not like they were Christians just before the spread of Christianity out of Judea in like the 2nd and 3rd centuries.
Is it just me, or is this sounding a little bit like they're trying to dip into the Mormon nacho cheese dip?
I don't know, because like it certainly is.
Jesus
true
went
that
to Native American.
Well, I mean, it certainly is true that Christianity is way older in Ethiopia than it is in, say, like, I don't know, France or something. And like, it is also certainly true that for thousands of years there had been cultural and like economic contact between Ethiopia and Judea and like the Mediterranean. Like that's just a fact, right? So like, it's certainly not as crazy as like, you know, Jesus just appears in the New World to preach to all the native Lamanites who all then kind of go extinct, I guess. Like that's just obviously a thing that didn't happen.
Is nacho cheese against Mormon tradition? I don't know. Is it?
I don't think so.
Was that really disrespectful for some?
4th century. Ethiopia has been a nation of Christianity. Egyptian traveler, monk, and historian Cosmas Indicopleustes wrote that Ethiopia was a Christian country when he visited there in the middle of the 6th century.
That sounds about right.
He saw how the rulers opened their borders to a lot of Christian refugees who fled to Ethiopia as they ran away from persecution from kingdoms and empires that were against Christianity. Certain Ethiopian tribes have been worshipping the Christian God for over 3,500 years.
Okay, first of all, you can't worship the Christian God before Christianity exists.
500.
Yeah, so let's take a drink for
AI narrators.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So there's
By the way,
another.
I was watching a video this week on Uranus, and at first I didn't catch the narrator was AI until I heard 3 different pronunciations for this planet in the span of a couple minutes.
Yeah.
I got Uranus, Uranus, and Uranus, which I have never
Oh.
heard before.
Uranus.
Look, the fact that we didn't go with Uranus is the basis of this whole problem.
I've said it
Uranus,
many
Uranus.
times. I've gone with Uranus. Ornos, we should have done it.
All right.
I mean, we could just start doing that now.
Yeah, no one can stop us.
It's called IAU. Change the spelling so that people stop pronouncing it like they're 8.
Tree Clam Chat for $5 says, I don't see any wooden submarines. I don't think this is Mormon. AIG is a bag of seeing stones. I'll take a drink for that. So again, this claim just comes back down to, do you take the Keber Nagast as like an actual historical text? And the answer is you shouldn't. There's no reason to think that. Now, if you were to ask me, were there any, like, say, Jewish people, or I guess 3,500 years ago, like just people from like what's now Judea or like Israel, Palestine, who were worshiping like, Adonai? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. It's not crazy. It's not completely impossible. But were they Christians? No. No, they were not. Were there people who would be identifiable now as like part of an Abrahamic tradition there? Yeah, that's entirely possible. But that's true for a lot of places. It's true for Persia. It's true for Greece. It's true for Egypt. Like, yeah.
It's not exactly mystical, magical, and unique like they're trying to present it.
Right. It turns out, I don't know if you guys know this, but people move around. Like,
what?
Like, here's one thing. you ever notice how in the Torah, in the various law codes, there's a lot of talk about how to treat the foreigners residing in your land?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why? It's because people moved. People moved in. Who weren't from around here. The idea of people moving isn't new.
In such, the oldest organized Christian body in the world is not the Catholic ministry as many would have. You believe, but the
As
Ethiopian
many
would have what?
Would have believed. That's the AI nonsense there.
Believed, thought.
Yeah, no, he said believed. It was just after a really long pause. My guess is because the script that was uploaded for this had a comma in an inappropriate place.
Oh.
That's my guess. But so here's the thing.
Or a correct place and it was reading it wrong.
So
like Shanti was talking about earlier.
Here's the problem with picking the oldest Christian like ministry or organization. A few of them go back into like the depths of like the 2nd century. We don't know which one is older than the other. Like chances are that the Patriarch of Jerusalem probably has a good claim to being the oldest continuous Christian thing, but then that also brings up a problem in that as a result of numerous schisms, there's more than one Patriarch of Jerusalem. So what do you do with that? Is it the Eastern Orthodox one? Is it like the Catholic one? Is it the Oriental Orthodox one? I don't know. Neither do you.
Is referencing something as being old therefore being like extra meaningful for some reason? Just a knockoff of the number go up equals good.
There's a trend among humans that the older something is, the older something is, the more true it is, or the more original it is.
Yeah.
What's with that?
Often correct, but that is not always correct. And sometimes it is horrifically incorrect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lieutenant Matt the Navigator.
It's a very good assumption to make.
I almost missed the Dark Law, who's been a member for 44 months and is at the Tetrapod level, says AIG is a bag full of maggots with the Godzilla and Mothra. And I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I'm going to take a drink anyway.
We take those.
Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, next you'll be telling me that people can be horny without sex ed class. Actually, that is true. It turns out. Yep. And no matter how much
sounds like fake news.
Apple wants to dehornify the internet, it's not going to work. Apple.
That is not good.
The internet is going to stay horny. That's just what's happening. Sorry. I'm not actually sorry. I don't care. Unlike Apple.
Not sorry at all.
Yeah. I don't have that weird prudish
Not sorry, and
impulse.
we do it again.
Yeah, like I don't get why it is that Apple's like, no, we have to make sure that the internet is as little horny as possible. Like, what do you care?
I assure you that if anybody unplugged the internet,
don't want to advertise on horny stuff, while simultaneously knowing sex sells, so they'll make racy
Yeah.
advertisement.
Making horny ads. Yeah, they
Okay.
know.
Here's
Okay, we do it.
here's something. So, well, let's say a friend of mine was inappropriately pirating a TV show with his friend
Whoa.
Oh no.
Mishanti once. And
Oh yeah.
yep, this friend of mine who is not me was
Yeah.
sometimes like pop-ups come up, right? And because they're already shady websites, people are perfectly happy to pay for advertising space for adult websites on that. So
Yeah.
that popped up as a pop-up, but it was also AI, and I'm like, I'm sorry, they found a way to make the adult pop-ups worse. How?
Ugh.
But they did it. They did it. It's. I always thought that adult pop-ups were the worst thing.
You told me about this story about
I
your
did,
friend not too
yeah.
long ago. Probably
Yeah.
what had happened.
My friend and his friend Mishanti, who sometimes watch movies together.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you make it worse? And it turns out the
They
answer
should
was
probably.
AI.
You should suggest to your friend to watch Tremors.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. Yeah. Maybe they can watch it with their other friend Jesh.
Oh yeah. Maybe.
Yeah. All right. Roshina for $5 says astronomers renamed Uranus in 2620 to end that joke once and for all, and now it's called Eurectum. Yeah, that is a good point. That is the line from Futurama. Let's see. Narondopus for $2 says, I don't get more original as I age. Oh man. Yeah, I know. It would be more fun if you did. Instead, you actually get less original as you age, technically. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, there's also the Christian tendency to place modern theological concepts back into the ancient past. See Baptist landmarkism. Yeah, Baptist landmarkism might be the most egregious version of that. You guys know what landmarkism is? So landmarkism is this idea that some Baptists have that the Baptist church is actually the original real church, and that various groups of Christians who are generally considered to be heretical groups were actually Baptists, you guys, and they were just being persecuted by the Christian church, the Catholic Church, which is what they consider to basically be everything until the Protestant Reformation, which is the Catholic Church, even when it was often not the Catholic Church. At least not in a way that is separable from other groups of Christians, like the Eastern Orthodox or whatever. And they'll point to like, oh yeah, the Marcionites. No, that was us. It's like, no, it wasn't though. Like, even if we remove all like the polemical stuff that's probably not true about their theology, it doesn't look like yours. What are you talking about? There's no indication it looks like your theology. Your theology was made up in like the
Covering
17th
it
century.
with their hands. Don't worry about it.
Just don't worry. There's a thread. There's a thread of Baptists the whole way
Don't worry
through.
about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is right up there with like taking the Book of Mormon as a historical document. Like, it's just not true. It's just not. Which is not to say that I think it was good that all those quote-unquote heretical groups were suppressed, because I don't think that. I don't think the state should be going around enforcing religious orthodoxy. But, like, they still weren't Baptists. It reminds me of, there's another thing from history. So not long after the Reformation starts, right, a bunch of Reformation theologians send this letter to the Patriarch of Constantinople, because they figure, well, these guys split off from the Catholic Church a long time ago. They know what's up, right? And so they send him like this is what we believe. Would you like to like join with us and we can become, we can join together as Christian brothers? And the response is basically, lol, no. It was accompanied with like a detailed list of like what they're getting wrong about Christianity from the perspective of the Patriarch of Constantinople. Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. It turns out that just because you both don't like the Catholic Church, that doesn't mean that you're particularly in line with what the Patriarch
You can
of
come to it
Constantinople
independently.
Yeah. There's more than one reason to object to the Catholic Church. Although it's not like there were no similarities. There were some.
I'm reading one right now.
There you go. Let's see. Tracer317 for $4.99 says, this friend sounds like a very insightful and completely human person. Yes. Yes. Yeah, my friend who watches videos with his friend Mishanti is in fact a human, unlike me, who was a dinosaur.
Orthodox Church, which is locally known as Tewahdo in Ethiopia. The country also has one of the earliest illustrated...
Look, I've heard about 3 different pronunciations for that word, and while I'm sure that the AI got it wrong, I don't actually know what a good English pronunciation for it would be. I do know that, like, the language is sometimes called Ge'ez or Gez,
Okay,
So one of the problems is like it contains a vowel that I'm really bad at making, so I don't even try to say it authentically. But also like I'm not going to be too picky on how you pronounce it.
Christian books ever found, which is a part of the Gospels written in Ge'ez, an old
Ge'ez is definitely not right.
Ethiopian language, and was found in 2010 in a monastery on top of a mountain in Ethiopia.
Okay, I want to point this out. When you say it was found in a monastery, do you think that means that the monks didn't know about it? Because people were living there. I think they count. Because it sounds like it was like discovered in the ancient crypts, and like the monks didn't know about it. Did the monks know about it? Were they reading from it? Because I feel like they were reading from it. Because that's what you do with codices, is you read from them. Especially codices of the Bible, like their point is to be read out loud in church. In fact, you could make the argument that historically what counts as in the Bible are the books that are read in church.
Pretty much.
Yeah, like, and for that reason, you could make the argument that there are certain books that are generally considered to be in the Bible universally that aren't actually in the Bible in some places.
Does that mean the prawn that I put in between the chorus singing parts of the Bible in church counts?
Were you reading it out loud in church?
Maybe.
Then maybe.
Nobody could hear me. Everybody was singing some hymns or some nonsense.
Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $2 says they must have been Canadian. They wrote in geese. Yeah, that is what that means. Yeah, Wikipedia says geese. One of the problems is that the small I with the line through it is a vowel that I'm really bad at making. My mouth doesn't like it. So yeah, geese or something like that is probably what I would like to go with, but I'm probably going to get it wrong. My Unfinished Journey, who's been a member for 37 months and is at the annual level, says, "Hail Daps, Gobo, and Vishanti, and hail objecting to objectionable authoritarians," with the fist emoji. Also, hail to Daps' sexy new audio setup. Grrr. I feel like this is the same audio setup I was using last time. I don't know, maybe it's not.
According to the Kebra Nagast, which is in Ethiopia's holy book, in the 10th...
Yeah, you can tell that the script has typos, which means that the script probably wasn't AI, at least, because which is in Ethiopia's holy book. So first of all, it's less of a holy book and more of a national epic, which, in case you don't... So not everyone's familiar with a national epic, right? A national epic is a legendary history of a people that's supposed to provide some kind of unifying narrative around how that people came to be. So, let's see. Ovid wrote one for the Romans, right? So you can also say that the Odyssey is sort of the national epic for Greeks. And these are things that are written long after the setting of any of the events. Usually they're just kind of made up, but they usually do take from earlier sources. And they're usually not used in worship. Like, I'm pretty sure there weren't a whole bunch of Greek temples that were just reading the Odyssey. Or, like, Roman temples that were just reading the Aeneid just in the temple as scripture. Although you could also make the argument that, like, Exodus is sort of the national epic for the Israelites. So, like, it can go either way. But generally, the Geber Nagas is not considered to be scripture in the Ethiopian or Eritrean Orthodox churches. Jillian Wren, who's been a member for 34 months and is at the Tetrapod level, says, "I resent thwarting Steve this way with the Mothra." Yeah, Steve should have just given you the membership, but oh well, we'll take a drink. Also, I recently made Jillian Wren the official server mom by giving a new role called server mom and then giving it only to her. And she has the power to kick people and to silence them and put them on timeout and stuff. So in case people don't know,
behave.
Yeah, in case people don't know, I'm sort of on vacation. Basically, I'm not doing any work on like new videos, like scripted videos or anything like that. I'm just going to be appearing on the live streams for which are either regular live streams for me or that I've already agreed to. So that also means that to some extent she's in charge of the server for now. And Arrow Dodger for $4.99 says, "Geese nuts." Nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
Daddy.
All right, here we go. Oh, wait. We're at the point where it's time for me to refresh my drink because we are at the 1 hour mark. So we are also well on pace to unleash the host and get a English as she is spoke reading, which, always like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to go refill my drink. Chesh can finish her bowl of rice real quick or something. I don't know. Maybe she won't. Although I do appreciate that she now has chopsticks, something I've been on her for like, what was it, like 3 years or something? Like, why don't you have chopsticks?
Something like that.
Yeah. Look, I just think the chopsticks are great and everyone should own a pair, at least.
They are kind of the ultimate utensil.
Yeah. Although I do remember watching my dad try to use chopsticks in Korea, which, by the way, are chopsticks on hard mode because they're metal.
Yeah.
So, like, I get it, but, like, it was embarrassing for me watching my dad try to eat with chopsticks. And I was like, oh my. Oh no.
Some of them are super long, too.
Yeah. On the other hand, I had several of the Korean people we were with ask me how I learned to use chopsticks. And the answer was from the back of a pack of disposable chopsticks. That's how I learned. And they're like, well, you're doing really well. I was like, thanks. I appreciate that.
Follow the directions.
Yep. Turns out the back of that disposable
read the
chopstick package.
instructions.
Yeah, seriously. But then I also practiced a lot because I really like Chinese food and I like Korean food and I like Japanese food. So, yeah. Anyway, now that I'm done talking about chopsticks, we're going to get out of here and we'll be back in just a few minutes. So, in the meantime, please enjoy the musical stylings of one Bent Hovind, and we'll be back in just a little bit. Okay, we are back. Thank you very much for everyone who stuck with me. And if you didn't stick with me, why not? Come back. It's great. So now that we're back, I want to real quick say first a very special thank you to everyone who is a patron, a channel member, who has super chatted or gifted memberships. This channel does depend on the direct support. Those of you who are new might not know this, but I'm making this work as my full-time gig. I am spending 8 to 12 hours most days working on scripted videos, finding videos for live reacts, animating, making assets for the channel, stuff like that. And the only reason I'm able to dedicate that much time is because you guys make it possible. So if you are currently someone who enjoys what I do and who can afford it and is interested, and you're either not supporting financially or you are interested in upping it, I have a few suggestions. The first is the Patreon. The Patreon starts at only $1 a month. There's a 15% discount if you pledge annually. It is where I get to keep the highest percentage of what you send me. So that is one that I really encourage. It gives you early access to my scripted videos. One just came out, I think, yesterday. And also, Patreon is what helps me do things like make that video that is limited or no ads. Yep, because we talked about some Bible concepts that are not advertiser friendly. I'll say that because I don't want this one to go down. So things like Patreon are the reason I can afford to do that every once in a while. And so that's a great place to go head over there. You also get access to my Discord server that's just for supporters. There's also the channel memberships. Those start at $1.99 a month. They, in addition to getting you access to the Discord and early access to videos, you also get the green name in chat, as well as a little channel badge next to your name. Sometimes it's a Dapper dinosaur head. Sometimes it's a top hat. Depends on how long you've been a member. That also gets you access to the special channel emojis, which we're seeing now with disgusting pelagic tunicates and adorable little tetrapods with top hats. So yeah, those are some great ways. If you don't want to do a monthly or an annual pledge, I get that. There are a whole bunch of other ways. Again, obviously, super chatting, gifting memberships, super thanks, super stickers, all of those help. There's also a merch store, which I actually make almost no money on, but that means that the prices are as low as I can get them without making zero money, basically. So if you want a Dapper Dinosaur t-shirt or a mug or a hoodie or a tank top or a baby onesie or a poster or a blanket or a pillow or a sticker, I got you covered. Or a phone case, for that matter. You can get a phone case. So, yeah, there's that. And, of course, if you can't afford to do any of those things, please make sure you like and share, even if you can't afford, actually. And the last thing is, if you want to help out in another way that is not directly financial, but that still helps me get my videos out, there is a section in the description called How to Render for Me. And that is, so the way I get my animations done is I upload the animation file to a website called Sheepit, which is a render farm. And the way that Sheepit works is however many points I have determines how high priority my frames are for my animation. So the higher points I have, the sooner my frames get allocated to other renderers. And every time someone else renders a frame for me, it costs me some of those points. And every time I render frames for other people, I gain points. I also gain a small amount of points for rendering my own frames. And so if you follow directions on how to render for me, you will be able to set up a client on your computer that will take frames from Sheepit. It will prefer mine if they're available, but it'll take them from whoever has priority if they're not available. And you will count as me for the purposes of generating points. And so the directions have you go to a website. You just go there, you download the client that's appropriate to your operating system. Use the login information that's in the description. That'll be my username as well as what's called a render key. So it'll tell the computer, it'll tell the Sheepit, you count as me for rendering, but you can't go in and like delete my account or anything. So yeah, that's another way that you can help out. And while technically it's not free, it costs some computing cycles, so it'll cost you some electricity, basically. And then before we get back into it, we got 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships from Lieutenant Matt the Navigator. Thank you so much. And while we drink that, while I take those drinks, I'm going to ask Vishanti to tell us why kobolds are better than goblins.
Don't know, don't care.
Okay, fine, Chesh, you do it.
So kobolds have a lot of interesting things that you can play with. One of them is obviously like the dragon aspect. The other one is Tucker's kobolds in particular, where they're really, really crafty and really, really good at doing traps. So one of the more famous stories is doing a dungeon. You go through the dungeon normally, and then all of the kobolds reset all of the traps and then attack you when you try to leave after you used a bunch of resources and you have a bunch of the treasure. They're really, really clever. And they're really, really interesting as like player characters as well. And they're one of the easier ones comparatively to like the goblin, because it's kind of hard to be a kobold is more social in like a sociable way, whereas goblins are they're social out of more of a necessity rather than actually being like able to get along with other races.
One thing I like is that it's in a lot of worlds in D&D. Basically, any reasonably sized city has a population of kobolds living under it that most of the inhabitants of the city don't actually know about because they're not causing trouble. They just want to live their lives.
They're just going through your garbage like they're raccoons.
Yep. Claude Simeon for $5 says, is it worth doing rendering if I don't have a dedicated graphics card? I haven't looked into it because I have integrated crappy graphics card. So you will certainly get fewer frames and it will take you longer and they will be some of the easier frames. So it's going to be up to you. Every single point that I get helps, right? Because it all adds up. So I can't answer that question for you. But certainly if you have a crappy and integrated graphics card, you will get fewer points for me than if you had a dedicated graphics card. So do what you want with that information. All right. Here we go.
Century BC, an Ethiopian ruler and the famous biblical Queen of Sheba went to Jerusalem to ask the famous King Solomon for advice. It's even recorded in the acceptable Bible canon, but what
is the acceptable Bible canon?
Bible canon.
Which one is that one?
Bible didn't
Good
tell
question.
us
Next question.
is that the two rulers had a son together named Menelik. Queen Sheba.
Which is just that just means king. That's just king.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You don't think that maybe the fact that this famous legendary king was named King might have been a hint that like maybe he's not a real guy? That couldn't have been a hint to you? It's like, oh, hey, what's your job? Oh, I'm the king. What's your name? King. So you're King? Yeah. That's
King McKing face.
Right?
This is like the way I came up with the D&D place names. Oh yeah, you're going to Port City Mick coastline.
Right. Yeah, so basically this book is naming the guy, essentially King McKing face, and sure. Probably a real dude.
Took the boy back to Ethiopia and made him the first emperor. In 2012, experts looked at the genetic makeup of many Ethiopians and found some evidence to support Sheba's journey to Jerusalem.
No, what they found was a connection to other ethnic groups that also speak Semitic languages. Which is unsurprising because most of the major languages in Ethiopia are already Semitic languages, which means that culturally there's that strong connection, which makes it unsurprising that there's a genetic connection. Because even if the people in Ethiopia were primarily descended from people who aren't like immigrants from places where Semitic languages have a longer history, like the Hijaz or like Mesopotamia or like the Levant, the fact that Semitic languages are predominant there means that there has been a lot of influx of people who speak Semitic languages, which means there's been a lot of, having babies. So no, it's not surprising that there should be a connection between other Semitic-speaking people groups and people in Ethiopia. This is what we would expect, regardless of the truth of the Keber Nagast. Like, you guys know that Amharic is a Semitic language, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, this isn't like a secret. Lieutenant Mathanavir for $5 says, it's amazing that the king is named Divine Right, sorry. It's amazing that the king is named Divine Right, McLegitimate. There's no way, this is in no way royal propaganda. Yeah, Divine Right, McLegitimate. Clearly has the mandate of heaven. Clearly. Oh. My favorite version of divine right is the mandate of heaven from China, because it's like, well, it's super not okay to rebel because the king has the mandate of heaven, or the emperor, sorry, has the mandate of heaven, unless the rebellion is successful, in which case that's evidence that he actually lost it. It's like, okay, so no matter what happens, that was the mandate of heaven. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
And birth there. In such, it is believed that Egyptian, Israeli, or Syrian people may have mixed with the Ethiopian natives around 3,000 years ago.
Sure, yeah, that doesn't seem crazy, because, again, people move. This is unremarkable. And it isn't evidence for the historicity of the Khyber Nagast. That's not what's happening right now.
This is very silly.
Also, I do want to point out, there is, in fact, an ethno-religious community from Ethiopia that are actually Jewish and who've had a damn hell of a time getting recognized as such in Israel, because it turns out that when Israel says that they're a homeland for the Jews, what that really means is we're a homeland for European descended Jews. And we only ever begrudgingly allow other people in, and even then, we're going to treat them as second or third class. So there's that too.
Put you in the frontier regions so that you're a buffer between us and the scary, evil, crazy Muslim Arabs who want to kill all of us.
Yeah. So it turns out that even though Israel likes to talk big about, being the one true homeland for all the Jewish people, they're still racist to other Jews there too. So that's fun.
How about that?
I know.
Is anybody even surprised?
No.
Some people are.
Yeah, some people are. I'm not. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, it's amazing that the king... Oh, no, we already read that one. Medikiki Platypus Librarian, that's the one I haven't read. For $2 says, this guy's name is proof that Chesh time travels. Yeah, you clearly named this guy by traveling back into the past, Chesh. Good job.
Oh, yeah. 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 You caught me.
Right. Remember that time that was it like a research vessel from the UK the UK put out a poll to see what to name it, and the winning vote was Bodie McBoatface, and they were like, okay, we're actually going to name it
cowards.
Yeah, they didn't actually do it. They named like some lifeboat or something Bodie McBoatface, and they named the whole thing
that's
after that's on the boat. I was like, that's lame, guys.
Cowards.
Yeah. Although, what was it? I think it was like Mountain Dew put up a vote, and of course, basically all of 4chan gathered together to just name it after the leader of 1930s Germany.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't ask the internet questions you don't want them to answer.
you know what's going to happen.
How many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man?
You know what's going to happen. The people who are the best organized are going to be the worst or the biggest trolls. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to troll...
The duality of man.
Yeah. If you don't want a troll answer and you don't want a horrifying answer, just don't ask the internet.
Yeah.
Or rather, don't pull the internet. You can ask, a search engine or something. That's fine, whatever.
Or don't promise you're going to do something with it.
Right?
You're just going to embarrass yourself.
During the time when the queen is said to have ruled the kingdom of Sheba, collaborating the story even further.
So, around the time in the Bronze Age, when there was lots of trade across Bronze Age civilizations, that's when a lot of this genetic mixing happened. Wow. Who could have predicted this? I'm taking a drink. Hey guys,
who could have foreseen?
You know that high point for thousands of years in international relations and trade across civilizations? Yeah, that's when there was lots of breeding happening. Oh wow. Shocking.
Despite having all these credentials and authenticity, the Ethiopian Bible is still discarded and not taken as part of the canon of the holy books.
What? That's not a thing. First of all, again, Khyber Nagast not part of any Bible, including the Ethiopian Bible. But that's not how this works. There's this myth about biblical canons that there was originally this huge list of books under consideration, and that various Christian groups were sitting there stroking their beards like, which of these should we kick out? But that's just not a thing that happened. The actual history is more prosaic and kind of boring, right? What actually happened is Christians were sitting around doing liturgies, and some books were read during liturgies, and some weren't. And the ones that were read were the ones that people wanted more and more copies of, so they could go do the liturgies elsewhere. And then over time, that just kind of settled into the canon. And then at some point, someone was like, hey, these are the 27 books that I think should definitely be read. And that happened to be the 27 books of what Christians call the New Testament. But even then, not everyone was on board. In fact, some people still aren't on board with that 27 list. That's what happened. It's not... There was never like a meeting in some candlelit back room of a church where there were a bunch of Christians being like, Gospel of Thomas, no, I don't think so. Get out of here. Oh, the Ethiopian version of Maccabees? No. Jubilees? Into the fire. That's just not a thing that happened. There's nothing mystical about Christian history unless you're talking about the history of Christian mysticism. Like, it's just not real. There was no great conspiracy. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, I'm not going to complain about David Attenborough being the namesake of a research vessel. I mean, fair, right? But then you just named the boat David Attenborough.
Then just do that, yeah.
Yeah, don't pretend you're going to have a poll about it if you're just going to name it David Attenborough.
Yeah, don't ask the internet.
Yeah, just say, okay, we're going to name this boat David Attenborough. And if you're okay with naming like a little launch vessel that goes off and on David Attenborough, Bodie McBoatface, then ask the internet what to name that thing. And also, it will always be Bodie McBoatface in my heart.
Yep.
In fact, most people, including believers of the same faith, have never heard of the Ethiopian Bible.
I don't know how specific you mean, because if they're part of the Ethiopian Tewahedo Orthodox Church, I'm pretty sure they have heard of their own Bible. If you're talking about like just random like lay Catholics or Protestants, then yeah, probably not. But my guess is most of them have never picked up like an Eastern Orthodox Bible either, and that's far more widespread. In fact, I know of Protestants who are surprised as adults to learn that there are other non-66 book biblical canons, period. But you know what? That doesn't make like the Catholic Bible mysterious or forbidden. It's just a minority canon. That's it. That's not a mystery. That's not forbidden. It's just a minority canon. Metageeky Platypus Librarian for $5 says, canon was established by publishers having high production cost offers, but they cut too much and ended up repeating the Gospels for filler. Actually, I mean, the reduction of the Protestant Bible to 22 books is actually something that stemmed from a cost-cutting measure by publishers. Like, there is some truth to that being the cause for a Christian canon. And then, of course, it's always amusing to me that after that fact, then later various Protestant groups came up with reasons why the Deuterocanonical or apocryphal books shouldn't be in the Bible that were theologically based. And it's like, you guys realize you're coming up with a theology excuse for saving money at the printers, right? Like, why God wanted you to save those few bucks at the printers. That's what you're doing right now.
It was expensive, man.
I mean, just let it be that. Just let it be that.
That's to show you the extent of what was done to discredit and hide the Ethiopian Bible.
Discredit? What does it even mean? Literally, the books that are still in the Ethiopian Bible that aren't in other Christian canons are there because they remain popular in Ethiopia, whereas they stopped being popular elsewhere. The Book of Enoch wasn't hidden. It just stopped being popular in both Christian and Jewish circles, except in Ethiopia, in Christian circles. That's it.
Could you imagine saying this about any other book?
Yeah, I don't know.
This begs to question,
oh no.
Why? Well,
Why?
to understand...
I'm going to go ahead and say that the person who wrote the script is not a native English speaker. What do you guys think?
Probably.
Yeah, because beg to question is a really weird phrase that I can't see any native English speakers saying. Also, by the way, that's not begging the question. So begging the question is a logical fallacy where you assume your conclusion in your premise. What this does is it raises the question. It doesn't beg the question. So there's that. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, the irony of adherence to supply side Jesus being unaware that their canon was decided by supply side economics.
Whoops.
I mean, technically not true, but close enough to true that I like it.
Close enough to be funny.
Yeah.
And that, let's take a little history lesson. The Bible as we know it today wasn't actually how the Bible was in the past.
Technically true. Take a drink. Technically true.
I put a beer in the freezer, by the way.
Just don't leave it in there too long.
I put a timer on my. I got that down to a science. I know
Okay.
exactly how long it needs to be in there, and I have it set to my phone. It's like a saved timer. It's my beer timer.
Nice.
There were many versions of different parts of the Bible, as well as many different interpretations and ideas of what the Bible was thought to be saying.
Yeah, welcome to textual analysis, buddy. That's just texts.
As we all know, the Bible texts were
Lines on
originally
paper.
written in
Oh wait. If he says pre-Yiddish, I will finish this drink. He's about to say we all know the Bible texts were originally written in. I think he's going to say Hebrew because that's what's on screen. But if he says pre-Yiddish, all right, here we go.
Hebrew before
Okay,
being
Hebrew.
translated to other languages.
Languages?
Oh,
I think that's worth a finish the drink, Dapper.
No, but it's worth a drink. I'll take a drink for it. Okay, so that's only true for parts of the Bible. Some parts of the Bible were written originally in Aramaic. Some parts of the Bible were written originally in Greek. And also, some parts that we thought were originally written in Greek turns out to have actually been written originally in Hebrew. So that's a fun thing. Yeah, because we found Hebrew older manuscripts in the Dead Sea Scrolls of some parts of what are considered the Deuterocanonical or the apocryphal books. So that's cool. But yeah, some parts were originally written in Hebrew. Yeah, most of it, I'd say that. Although actually, I don't know how long some of the extra books in the Ethiopian canon are. So for all I know, maybe it's not true that it's most of them for the Ethiopian canon. Like, how long is Jubilees, Vishanti?
It's 49 chapters plus 1.
Okay, so that's about the same size as like the other books in the Torah, or the books in the Torah. I mean, not the other books. But
it's fanfic on the Torah,
right,
but not even all of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's not like we took like Psalms times 2, and that's what's the length of Jubilees or something.
Yeah, no.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I would say that even for the broader Ethiopian canon, it's still going to be majority Hebrew as the original language.
The first translation was done by a man known as Saint Jerome.
Take a drink, because that's not even close to true. What's the Peshitta? What's the Septuagint? What are those? What are those for?
Targums?
Yeah,
Never
what are
heard
the
of them.
Targums? Guys, Jerome translating the Bible into Latin is far from the first translation of the Bible ever. Yeah, not even close. But okay.
Not even close, baby.
No. I mean, think about this, right? Long before Jerome sat down to translate, there were people in the Levant who were Christians and had been Christians for centuries, reading the Bible and conducting their liturgy entirely in Aramaic. How did they do that if there wasn't an Aramaic translation of the scriptures?
You said long ago, and I heard it in the voice of a coup from Samurai Jack. Long ago, there was a foolish samurai warrior wielding a magic sword, and I, Aku, the shape-shifting demon, wielding a magical sword with a foolish samurai warrior.
Also, what happened to Jerome's cheeks? Did he get in a fight? Like, was he badly burned? What's going on?
He's a little rough there, yeah.
Yeah.
From Hebrew to Latin.
Well, and also from Greek to Latin. And also, Jerome is significant in being one of the first Christians to go from Hebrew to another language, because generally speaking, up until Jerome, Christians just use the Septuagint as their Old Testament. So that's what's mostly significant for Jerome, is that he was one of the first Christians to start going for like the Hebrew language for books like Genesis and Exodus and Psalms and, Chronicles and whatnot.
Remember the first Ghostbusters movie? Does mental illness run in your family? My uncle thought he was Saint Jerome.
He was responsible for putting together what is known as the Vulgate around the year 400.
It's true.
And the Vulgate still remains the principal Latin version, or the translation of the Bible. It had 27 books called the New Testament and 39 books called the Old Testament.
You think he's going to get to the Apocrypha that we're definitely in there? No? Okay. Medikiki Platypus Librarian for $2 says they had a copy of Hebrew as she is spoke. Oh, nice. Is Hebrew in that context a feminine word? I don't actually know.
Yeah, I mean, Ivrit.
That's a feminine word? Okay.
Because of our Ivrit.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's also, generally speaking, in Semitic languages, it's not normally hard to figure out the gender of a noun, but with proper nouns, it's like, who knows? You just kind of have to know.
But I mean, look at the context, but referring to the language, the word that means the Hebrew language, Ivrit. So, whatever. It's fine.
I don't know that would help me with determining the gender of the noun, but I'm sure that if I were better at Hebrew, it would. Okay, yeah. Look, I think it's well understood that my Hebrew is not very good. It's not even as good as my Greek, which is also not very good.
At that time, it was called the Hebrew Bible. You see,
No, I don't think that Saint Jerome was calling it the Hebrew Bible, but okay, and yeah, we're not getting to the Septuagint, so not Septuagint, but the Apocrypha. So we're gonna take a drink for Vishanti with a confirmed prediction right there.
Nicely done.
in the first century, many books were written about Jesus' life and teachings.
No, there were not many books written about Jesus' life and teachings in the first century. By the end of the 3rd century, there had been a lot, but during the 1st century, probably not more than 5.
However, many of them were not true.
Okay, I'm just going to hit play.
These were like fan fiction novels of the account of Jesus' life.
Okay, so clearly what he's trying to set up is the distinction between the canonical gospels and other gospels that are generally not held by Christians to be canonical. But the problem is that those gospels are almost entirely much, much later, and that's why they weren't accepted as part of the canon, is because they were known to be later, essentially, yes, fan fiction. Sorry. The reason the Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of Judas aren't in the Bible isn't because Christians kicked them out. It's because in the sorry, why am I coughing? In the Christian groups that became sort of the proto-Orthodox, what became the Imperial Church, they were never widely read or really in the running to be in the Bible because they were thought of as late books that people wrote sort of as fan fiction. And so they weren't being read in church. And so they were never in the running. That's one of the things that, look, if you find alternate Christianities that did not end up surviving in a continuous way to the present day as fascinating, or if you think that there are spiritual lessons that you're getting out of the so-called Gnostic Gospels or something like that, right? Great. Cool. I'm not going to tell you not to. However, please do not pretend that these were books that were actually well-known and originally considered to be part of the Christian Bible, but then, like, the evil Emperor Constantine kicked them out. That's just not what happened. It just isn't. Also, if we're going to criticize these Gospels for being late fan fictions, I got bad news for both Enoch and Jubilees, which are part of the Ethiopian canon, because those are just late fan fictions on the Torah. Mostly Genesis, actually, in both cases. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, "You speak terrible Hebrew? You're fully qualified to overturn all the workers in the field." That's true. Yeah. All you need to know is like basically more or less what you learn in like the first day of Hebrew class. And there you go. You're good enough to just tell all the Hebrew scholars and all the biblical scholars why they're wrong. That's how it works. You know, I used to think that was a thing that was like common in certain fields that I was familiar with, and that didn't much happen in other fields. And as I've become an old man, I realized, nope, that's everything. Everyone's doing that.
The problem was that when these books were written and released to the public,
Released to the public. Was Was there a signing?
The public ended up believing those fan fiction
Jerome
books
going on
were
tour,
actually real.
signing a book signing tour.
Right. Jeez. You know, a lot of these books were written as pseudepigraphical books, right? So that the person who wrote them isn't the person who the text says wrote them, which means you couldn't do that kind of thing. You couldn't have a big public unveiling like that. But okay.
There was no internet to quickly fact-check these books, and as we know, fake news travels faster than real news. So you can only imagine the scores of fake books.
Technically true.
Yeah, sure, we'll
That's
take
a
a drink
true
for it.
thing.
We'll take a drink, sure.
We take where we can get them. That's just...
Yeah, I am thirsty.
That were in
Don't clip that.
society and the damage it did. This became a worry for leaders in the early Christian church. They met at the Council of Nicaea.
Oh my god. Council of Nicaea determined the canon. Drink. The Council of Nicaea was about a Christological debate, and then secondarily tried to fix some various like chaotic stuff that was going on in the administration of the church. Not a single thing discussed there related to the canon of the Bible.
No, they just went, this one's in, this one's out, this one's in, that
They
one's
didn't.
in.
No, not
These
a
two are
thing.
out.
The whole idea of this basically goes back to like I think it was Voltaire, who just kind of made up a story about people piling a bunch of books on a table and then coming back in the morning and the books that were still on the table being the canon. But that's just not a thing that ever actually happened. It's not even a story about what happened from before the early modern period. The idea of the Council of Nicaea having anything to do with what was in the Bible didn't become an idea until the modern period. Also, this is not a picture that is depicting the Council of Nicaea as far as I can tell, because the Pope is in the middle. But you know who wasn't at the Council of Nicaea? The Bishop of Rome.
Pope of Rome?
Yep, not there.
Yeah.
Didn't actually attend any of the first 7 ecumenical councils if you're Catholic, or the only 7 ecumenical councils if you're Orthodox, or the 4 ecumenical councils if you're Oriental Orthodox, like the Ethiopians. Lieutenant Matt, or was it the 3? I think it's the 4.
These guys are fired.
Yeah. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator says, I remember pre-ordering my copy of Enoch 2 from Scrollstop. Oh, Enoch is actually where we get a lot of the fun stuff. Like, if you ever saw the Russell Crowe Noah movie, that's basically just the Enoch version of the flood story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then a whole bunch of Christians were like, this isn't in the Bible. It's like, yeah, it's basically an adaptation of Enoch. Sorry. Are you not allowed to do a movie adaptation of an extra biblical work? Because that's most movies that are based on books.
No, it has to be theologically like in line with my specific flavor of Protestantism.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
in 325 AD, and the First Council of Constantinople in 381 AD, to choose which books would be added to the New Testament. They decided...
Literally no. Okay. I think it was Athanasius of Rome sends a letter around Easter time with a list of 27 books. That's the first time we get the actual full 27 book list. But there was literally never an official council saying that this is what the New Testament is. And actually, it wasn't until I think like the 19th century that the Catholic Church decided to make a statement on what the Old Testament is. And as far as I know, the Oriental and Eastern Orthodox churches still have never actually done that. But when they print Bibles, they have certain books in them. Like, I have Catholic, Protestant, and Orthodox Bibles in the house, right? So if I go grab the Orthodox Bible that I have, it will have certain books that aren't the same as the books in the other sections, right? I believe it's basically the Catholic Bible, like, plus 1 or 2 things. But that's not an official thing, right? Like, if I went to, like, you know, the Patriarch of Constantinople or Jerusalem or Antioch, I was like, excuse me, what's the term of address? What is it? It's not excellency. It's not majesty. Someone help me out. What's the proper term of address for an Eastern Orthodox bishop? Send it in the chat. Anyway.
Illustrious?
No, it's not that. Anyway, excuse me or whatever. What's the official list of the books in the Bible? I'm not gonna get an actual list. He might be able to give me like, well, this is what I put in. This is what's in the Bible that I read from. Your Grace might be an option. Your Holiness? No, that's definitely not it. That's the term of address for the Pope of Rome.
Decided that a book was scripture if it was written by one of Jesus's followers or someone who saw him teach.
Well, I have bad news about the books of the Bible.
Well,
Yeah, that there are no books of the Bible that we can say with high degrees of confidence would meet that definition.
yeah.
None.
Even I know that.
Eminence, I think it might be Eminence. It might be Eminence, yeah.
The book also had to have been written in the 1st century and make
Well, again, I have bad news about your New Testament if they all had to be written in the 1st century, because at least a bunch of them were written in the 2nd century. Now, I'm not someone who's like taking the latest date for every book in the Bible, right? Like, that's not me. I think there are probably like at least 3 of the Gospels have a fair chance of being late 1st century, and I think the authentic Pauline epistles are probably 1st century. But like, yeah, there's a lot of 2nd century stuff going on there. Also, I do have to point out this couldn't actually have been one of the requirements for being in the Bible when the 27 books were sort of being like hashed out, because our modern dating count for the years hadn't been invented by the time the 27 books were kind of settled on. So no, I'm going to take a drink for our calendar system hadn't even been, like, the year count hadn't even been invented yet. The months had been invented, but they were still using regnal years for everything. In the 4th year of the reign of Emperor Julius, yeah, that's
Emperor
how they're
Emperor face.
right from the Cabra Nagast.
makes sense with the rest of the Bible. There have been many changes to what we now call the Holy Bible, but the most important change may have happened during the reign of King James I. Despite the Vulgate existing for about 500 years, there were still numerous versions and accounts of the Bible, so much that it bothered the reigning monarch at that time.
No, the reigning monarch at that time was tired of people using the Bishop's Bible to foment anti-monarchy feelings among the populace. King James I had like zero concern for theology and lots of concern for maintaining his reign. That's what happened.
He was worried about the different Bible versions that were popular in the 1600s.
Technically true, just not for theological reasons.
The king wanted a version of the Bible that settled religious differences, as well as one that reinforced his power.
That second part is the real thing going on there.
Several priests also asked the king to make changes, saying that some of the translations that were going around were wrong.
Well, specifically that they were too Catholic, but sure. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, King James the Thirst? I mean, there are definitely stories of him being thirsty, specifically that he was thirsty for men, which was something they kept on the DL. But then again, he's the king. What are you going to do?
To solve this pressing issue, the king got 47 experts to look over all the different translations of the Bible that were already out there.
No, it
Not
was
as big as 70.
Yeah, well,
Get good.
yeah, Septuagint supremacy. But also it was more look at the Bishop's Bible and then look at the was it like the Erasmus text of the New Testament, as well as whatever versions of the Masoretic text were published, and draw from those 3 sources, and also to make as few changes to the English from the Bishop's Bible as possible, which is why the 1611 King James Version of the Bible is written in like 1450s English.
It was outdated
Yeah.
when it was published.
When it was published, people were like, why is this so old-fashioned? Let's see. Tracer317 for $4.99 says, and famously, after the KJV, religious differences ended. Yeah, exactly. There were no more differences among Christians after the KJV, or at least among Protestants. Although, if I'm being honest, like, it seems like the majority of the differences among Christians are also among Protestants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turns out that when you have a text, because all texts can mean multiple things to multiple people, and you don't have an organization that can control what is allowed, like what interpretations are allowed, you just get lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of splintering groups. Especially if you think that your particular interpretation is actually the one that you were guided to by God. Yeah, that's just a recipe for being fractious.
Multiply that by everyone, because everyone thinks their interpretation is led to them by God and the Holy Spirit.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm a Christian, and the Holy Spirit is guiding me, so I can't be wrong. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator.
Everybody else.
Yeah. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, he's the king. What are you going to do? Oliver Cromwell, 1649.
Yeah.
Hold my beer.
Oof.
They were split into 6 groups and worked on different parts of the project on their own for 7 years. These men had to follow strict rules so that they wouldn't show any bias.
Sorry?
So 2 of you guys did it overnight. Get
Yeah,
good.
they did. Which, that's the least plausible part of the whole Septuagint story, is that they did it overnight. Like, you can't even physically write that much overnight. What are you talking about?
Nope.
Yes.
Even the fastest
They also-
typist wouldn't be able to type that fast.
Right? Yeah, there's just no, like, okay, if you're coming up with the legend of the Septuagint, come up with something that's even remotely plausible. Like, they worked for a year. Okay, fine. They worked for a year. Great.
Cool.
But overnight? No.
Also used a number of different tools to help them make a scientific Bible that stayed
What?
true to the original languages.
What is a scientific Bible? Let's take a drink.
What's my timer at?
I don't know.
2 minutes. You know what? 2 minutes.
Go to get the beer.
Go get it. It's fine.
We only have 15 minutes left, but Chesh is broken. She needs the booze.
I can only handle so much of this nonsense. Every time you invite me over here, it's
Dapper,
Yes.
do you remember that time before the stream where you were like, hey, if this video we get done, you want to stay over? And I repeatedly said, yeah, we're not getting through it.
I didn't disagree with you. I just said if.
we're like halfway. Come on.
Yeah, we're halfway. We made good progress.
When the priest and the king looked at the
The priest and you mean the translators, not all of whom were
The
clergy?
priest.
Okay.
works of these experts,
This is what happens
saw-
when you can't communicate in your native language. You try to do it in a different language because the priest, he meant the priests.
that they had similarities in their work, Depsite being far from each other, they approved it, giving glory to God for guiding them to arrive at the
Sorry, but that stamp that said qualified was hilarious to me, and I love it. I want to see more of that stamp.
I think you need one. I think you need to clip that and use it as a reaction.
Qualified.
Yeah.
Qualified.
same conclusion. In 1611, the King James Bible was published, and
True,
because of
take a drink.
advancements made in printing, it became one of the most accessible Bible versions to date. So these
Yeah,
edits
sure.
made in the King James Bible and the original Vulgate translation made by St. Jerome saw to it that some books were not included in the Bible most Christians
No, there is no difference in the books that were translated for the Vulgate and the books that were in the 1611 King James Version. It was the same books, and it was more than the 66 that this guy thinks it was. What do you... No. And also, what edits? What specific edits? What verse do you think that Jerome changed that then carried over into the 1611 King James that also
Ones
changed
that-
things?
Said the approved things.
Yeah. This is dumb. Guys, the history of the Bible is not that it's complicated, but it's not that complicated. You could go learn it.
Point of order.
It's not impossible.
The 4 Artemis astronauts just walked out on stage at Houston.
Nice. Wait,
to
I
do
thought they
their-
already did
who were
that.
doing a press conference.
Oh, they're doing another one?
Well, they arrived in Houston, I think, either late last night or this morning, but they're doing a press conference right now.
Thank you, Chesh, for sending me. If Mary
Everybody's
had
standing
Jesus,
up and cheering, and I'm going to get all emotional again. So
if Mary had Jesus
Praise-
and Jesus is the Lamb of God, then Mary had a little lamb. I do believe that is true via the transitive property.
and they brought Rise the little stuffy plushy thing.
Aww.
It's very cute. Oh my god. My name is in his little pocket. It went around the moon.
Nice. That's almost like you went around the moon.
Christians have today, while the Ethiopian Bible still retains all scripture.
What?
The Ethiopian Bible retains all scripture.
All scripture. Okay.
Oh, I'm taking a drink.
This doesn't even make any sense. I don't even understand what the conspiracy is supposed to be at this point.
See, the Ethiopians, they secretly kept all the scripture because they're the best, I guess.
Oh.
It definitely can't just be that different groups have different religious traditions. That's just not an option.
Now that we've taken a short course on the Bible's history, it's time to answer
Yeah, you can tell that what's happening is that was part of the script. There shouldn't be a comma after now. But the AI reader saw the comma and was like, well, I better pause.
the major question of why the Ethiopian Bible was rejected.
It wasn't. It literally wasn't. That's not a thing that ever happened to anyone ever.
I don't know what this person means at this point anymore. None of this makes any sense.
Saint Jerome was not holding a copy of the Bible from Ethiopia and then saying, nah, I don't want to play with you anymore. Drops the Bible.
Drops it like it's
right.
Toy
Not a
Story.
thing that happened. Oh, hey, that completes our goal. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, this is my vote to improve the coherence of the discourse to a phrase book made by a man with similar unearned confidence. All right. So we have English as she is spoke. Let's go. Let's see what our next dialogue is. Okay. Our next dialogue is to visit a sick. All right, but before we do that, Fear Amen is English Monger for $5 says, Kay, I'm convinced the script was written by AI too. The errors due to misspelling is probably due to the human not knowing Control C plus / Control V is a thing. Maybe. I think it's still more likely that it's just someone who doesn't speak English as their native language, and they're using the AI voice because they don't want to have to try to pronounce the English well.
Verbally do it.
Yeah.
I don't actually hate like the bot voice because it's not AI generated the same way like a chat GPT script was. So it doesn't bother me as much, but
look.
What do you mean?
It is actually.
I mean,
I still hate it.
It's not the worst AI voice I've heard.
Fine.
I've heard much worse AI voices, but it's still not great. All right, for to visit a sick. How have you passed the night? Very bad. I have not slept. I have had the fever during all night. I felt some pain everywhere body. And that's every space where. Not everywhere body.
You know what this reminds me of every time you read it? Does Bruno Mars is gay?
Yeah.
Live me see your tongue. Have you pain to the heart? Are you altered? Yes, I have thirsty often with a U. Thirsty, not thirsty. Thirsty. I have thirsty often. Your stat have nothing from Lroublesome. Then that's L-R-O-U-B-L-E. Rouble. What I made to eat. You can take a broth. I can to get up myself. Yes, during an hour or two. Let me have another thing to do. Take care to hold you warmly, separate word, Lee. And in 2 or 3 days you shall be cured. Well, that's nice. For to travel. Where you go so? I am going to Cadiz. Or Cadiz, if you want to be super Spanish about it.
Go to Cadiz nuts.
I'm going to Cadiz.
Have you already arrested a coach? Yes, sir, and very cheap. Is it some danger on the highway? It is not spoken that. They speak not that may have some robbers on the woods. I have nothing to fear, or in day neither the night. Don't we pass for a asterisk. No, sir, they leave it to the left. Sorry, no, sir, they leave it to left. Let us take patience, still some o'clock, and we shall be in the end of our voyage. And that has been a reading from English, as she has spoke. All right. Well, it is basically time for us to wrap up. I said that we probably wouldn't get a second episode out of this, but
we're under 10 minutes.
Yeah, we went through 7.5 minutes, and there's 6 minutes left. We might squeeze a second one out of this video, and Kip might end up being subjected to this nonsense. Which
better him than me. I'm not sorry.
You're just our backup, Kip.
I'm just the backup. I'm the backup goblin.
You actually kind of are the backup goblin. You're the person I'm usually going to reach out to probably first, maybe sometime second if I need a quick
I am the
extra host.
reliable.
You are.
Yeah,
It's true.
that's what I'm here for.
All right. So
Maybe if Dapper takes a day off of actually streaming during his vacation, he'll call me in to do another video that I definitely didn't watch ahead of time.
Oh god, the group hug, and they're all talking about Reed Wiseman's. I got super choked up this week when I was watching the live stream, and he suggested that they name one of the lunar craters after his wife.
yeah.
Everybody crying,
Oh,
Mission Control's crying, all the astronauts floating in for a group hug. I was crying like,
Yeah, it was pretty heartwarming. I have to update the counter here. All right, so it looks like we're not getting bent any free pizza today, but that's okay. All right, Chesh,
no pizza for you.
Yeah, no. What do you have coming up?
It's rum and coke night tonight. Over on Debate Hub, we only need like 150 more watch hours to get that channel monetized. If you want to help make a new debate space that doesn't wait, we broke our goal, right? I'm allowed to swear again.
Yeah.
If you want to have a really fucking cool debate fucking space that isn't fucking ass, you should totally head over there and one, get that monetized, and two, just support it in general so we can actually do some more cool shit. Because the more numbers I have, the more people are dumb and think big number equal good. So the more numbers I have, the more likely I'll be able to get other people to show up to do the debates.
Okay, and what time
also,
is
I have
that?
my own channel, but who cares? No, 9 p.m.
9 p.m.
9 p.m. for rum and coke, and then
Eastern.
Kip is going to be on actually with MC Toon talking about the Bible and flat Earth stuff on the 15th. So that'll be Wednesday.
At what time?
6:15 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. I have to make sure that Chesh gets all the YouTube stuff done because despite being a longtime YouTuber, seems to forget.
I'm bad at my job.
Yeah. No, you're good at your job.
That's why the channel's so small.
Most of your job is doing art, though, and you're good at that.
Well, thanks.
You're welcome. All right, Vishanti, have anything coming up that you want people to know about?
Nothing YouTube specific.
Okay.
Everything I'm doing is outside of YouTube, like transcribing really old, I guess, volumes of a book that I've been looking for over a year. So going back and forth to the library and taking not great quality photos, but at least I'm able to get the text off them. So yay!
Yeah, this is one of those books that old enough that they don't let you take it off. They don't let you take it outside the library. Yeah.
And the binding is too tight and brittle for me to like get it on the flatbed scanner. So.
And Fridays, go check out. I'm running Dungeons and Dragons or a D&D or a TTRPG for Dapper for a week to give him or for like a month or two to give him a break.
Yeah. All right. So what's coming up here? So like we said, over at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, I'm going to be hanging out for some rum and coke. Let's see. Then tomorrow, which is indeed Easter. So if you're Eastern or Oriental Orthodox, happy Easter coming up here in a few hours, unless you're far enough east that it's already Easter for you, in which case, happy Easter. For most of you Christians, it's just not Easter anymore. So like, whatever, that's fine. But yeah, that will be, I'm going to be having another show with the Triumvirate. So me and Erica and Dan have a stream scheduled where we're going to be taking a look at, let's see, we've got, I think, Clary and a bunch of ICR guys, right, including Tompkins. And they had their 5 new evidences that young Earth creationism is true. And it's really dumb. And we're going to take a look at it. The title of it is 4 Doofi have new evidence of young Earth new evidence young Earth creationism is true. The Triumvirate. So after the fact, it will be a collaboration with me and Erica and Dan. So if you like any of those 3, please come check that out. That will be at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Then Tuesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, Tisdall Tuesday. Chesh is back, much to my chagrin.
It's me.
Chesh did this to herself, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that will be that. Then on Thursday, Let's see. Mutations, random but somehow intentional. Jay Seegert is going to be back. And we're going to take a look at how Jay Seegert says that mutations are actually created by God so that animals can adapt. And they're pre-programmed into animals, but also they're completely random, so they can't explain evolution. And the fact that those two things are contradictory, don't you mind. Don't worry about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't
Thanks
you
for
worry your
warning
silly
me.
little head. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I won't.
So that'll be Thursday at noon Pacific at 3 p.m. Eastern. Then on Friday, as Chesh said, over at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, we got D&D. It's my first time playing Dungeons & Dragons in years, and I want to remind everyone, you do not have to give Wizards of the Coast a red cent in order to play Dungeons & Dragons.
True facts.
We're not doing it, and we're still using the new updated 5.5 rules, because there's this thing called the System Resource Document that is not just free, it's public domain.
And
Or
watch
technically
me
it's Creative
tell
Commons.
people that screw the rules. I'm the dungeon master.
Everyone have a great day. I'm gonna go watch some astronauts.
All right, bye. So let's see.
Bye.
Then on the next Saturday, we will be back with presumably more of this. So and Kip should be back. I don't think Vishanti will be there. So yeah. Let's see. I think that's it. Do remember, I am sort of on vacation. I'm not working on any scripted videos for the next at least a week or so. And also it means that, like, don't at me unless it's important. And by important, I mean, like, someone's dying, someone's losing limbs, $10,000 or more in property damage, or like crimes are happening on my server. That's pretty much it. Yeah. So if it's not one of those things, I probably don't want you to talk to me about it. But also, I'll probably still be around and hang out, and every once in a while chat in the Discord too. So like, don't be afraid to respond to something I said. That's fine too. All right. Yeah, just don't.
You're giving a lot of mixed messages here.
I'm just saying, don't add me. But like, you know,
Don't at me.
if I say
bro.
something and you say something back, that's fine. That's not adding me. Don't at me.
Yeah.
Respond is fine. Add is not. All right. With that being said, I'm going to go head over to my Discord. We're going to watch probably just one episode of Star Trek today because I want to have some time to take a break and go do things besides be reasonably public before I go on rum and coke. So, yeah. Talk to all you guys later, and I'll see those of you who want to over in the Discord for one episode of Star Trek Enterprise. Bye, everybody. And also, ICE must be abolished. Hey, before you leave, I just want to take a second to thank my patrons and channel members, especially those pledging $20 or above. Sealoof, Ben Tovind, Tapioca Weasel, Mikau Dominiak, Sammy LaFleur, Edwin M., Kenneth Swenson, John Ackerman, Sphincter of Doom, Regios, Landon Knoll, Ian Chen, Eleron Teller, Phil Rivara, David Hercules, Joshua Geese, Dan Sheedy, Pegajace, The Plastic Mouse, Gordon Love Science, Amber Athelian, Prixie Purple, Agricola Sequa, and Me, Myself, and I. It's because of my channel members and patrons whom you're seeing on screen that this channel can stay afloat. Without you, it would all shut down. If you want to join the team, there's a link to join the channel below this video, and there's a link to join the Patreon in the description. On the Patreon, you can get a 15% discount for pledging annually, and either way, you get early access to virtually all of my scripted videos months before they come out for the general public. Thanks for watching.